Jim Lampley has the uplifting story of a life that's come full circle.
Outside, it's just another drab brick building on a desolate Muncie, Indiana street. But inside the city's Police Athletic League facility, there's nonstop action. Here, the Muncie PAL Boxing Club is preparing for the state's premier amateur boxing event, the 2002 Indiana Golden Gloves Championships.
Jeffrey, you got to throw him with a little more than that, son. I don't want you pitter-patting.
All under the scrutiny of 47-year-old trainer Rodney Cummings, who's part drill sergeant.
It looks like you stopped. Yeah. Hit that man with that right hand.
Part cheerleader.
You're so fast, I can't get him up. Excellent.
Part boxing professor.
Get that jab going, get the angle, and then shoot those combinations.
He might seem a bit overzealous about gearing up for the Golden Gloves.
They're off to the side, David, and work those angles.
But to Cummings, this is about something much bigger.
What I do is not about boxing. It's a vehicle to help young people work and achieve and acquire their goals and try to transcend that from the boxing world into the legitimate business of life. I mean, get a job, go to school. And far too many fighters never prepare themselves for life after boxing.
Cummings took from boxing its code of discipline and dedication and parlayed it into formidable success outside the ring. His mission now, imparting those lessons to fighters like David Bond, who before boxing didn't see the point of school and had done jail time on drug charges.
Is boxing the only thing that stands between David Bond and crime, guns, drugs, jail?
It's boxing, but it's also a relationship he gets to have with me because of boxing. Me and the other guys, the police officers in our gym, whether he understands it or not, the values that we have rub off on him, and he has changed as a result of that.
But the more remarkable transformation is the one Cummings pulled off himself.
Come on, baby, hit me.
His is a stranger-than-fiction story of overcoming poverty, crime, and jail to become a powerful symbol of success and self-determination. It begins in this part of Anderson, Indiana.
When we were living here, we would have to go out and collect bottles every day to get enough money to go out and get hamburgers so we'd have something to eat that night. 10-cent hamburgers, I remember they were on sale there. And I mean, literally, survival was a serious problem.
Surviving his parents may have posed the greatest danger. He had a heavy drinking father he rarely saw, and a relationship with his mother that would have horrified Sigmund Freud.
I never had love for my mother. She's probably one of the most evil people that I've ever met. I mean, she just would use people, rip people off. She was a prostitute, a drug addict.
And when she didn't want to care for her children, all from different fathers, she'd simply drop them off at foster homes or orphanages, forcing Rodney and his siblings to move from home to home, from school to school.
27 schools. I'm the only person in my family that graduated from high school. 580 out of class of 598. I graduated from high school in May. I spent that summer hanging out with my friends. Everybody I knew was doing drugs and committing crime. That's when I broke into a house trying to get money. I took a coin collection, sold it, had about $400, and used that money to live on.
How'd you get caught?
I was out with a friend of mine. There was a gun taken in that burglary. We were walking down along a river here in town, and we were shooting that gun. We ran out of bullets and turned around and came back up the hill and got about halfway up that hill when the police came.
Uniformed?
Yes. Yeah.
What'd you think?
I said, uh-oh.
The 18-year-old Cummings was charged with burglary by the county's criminal prosecutor, William Lawler, Jr., who decided to send him to jail.
The worst environment that I had ever been in, and I thought, oh my gosh. If I ever get out of here, I'm never going back to jail.
Rodney got out of jail, swearing never to go back, but unsure exactly how to go forward. The day he walked out of his cell, a friend brought him to a police athletic league facility to shoot some pool. But it wasn't the pool table that captured Rodney's attention. It was the boxing ring.
Things started changing in my life on that day. And I lived in that club and boxed and trained and eventually cultivated a new group of friends and associates.
Like police officers Roy Springfield, who'd begun the local police athletic league club, and Sonny Clark, who coached sports.
Did he tell you you'd been in jail?
Yes, he did. He was a kid that I felt that was looking for some place to go, and he was having pretty rough.
So Springfield let him train at the club during the day, and since Cummings had nowhere else to go, he also let him sleep there at night.
Were you paying for him to eat? Were you buying his food?
Oh, yes.
In the neighborhood I'm from, cops are not the good guys.
No,
you know,
they're the bad guys.
Exactly. They're the guys that are trying to beat you down. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. Once I got to know these guys personally, then I started understanding a different frame of reference. It sounds funny, but we didn't have, they owned houses. I didn't know anybody that owned a house. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'll do anything to try to have something like this in my life.
Do you feel like Rodney is giving back some of what you gave him?
When he was boxing in the PAL Club as a young man, we all were like a family, and for him to be an adult now and to come back in and to help the kids is what we were looking for.
At the 2002 Golden Gloves, Cummings is helping his kids by taping hands, talking strategy,
Hands up, get that jab going.
and when necessary, barking at them to keep fighting.
You want to win this fight, son? Then you got to go out and take it and start throwing some shots and hurt this man.
David Bond has worked his way into the welterweight final. A victory here would send him to the Nationals, a familiar place for his coach. Back in the 70s, it was Cummings piling up 3 Indiana Golden Gloves titles and doing well enough at the national level to shoot for a lucrative pro career. But the Golden Gloves gave him something he now considers more valuable, an academic scholarship that enabled him to attend Ball State University. After graduation, Cummings dreamed of following his role models into law enforcement, except for one problem: his criminal past.
I applied to the police department, and I got rejected because I had a felony conviction. Well, I was devastated. Well, those guys weren't going to take that no as an answer. They discovered that if I got a pardon from the governor, then I could get a job as at the police department.
After lobbying prominent officials, Clark and Springfield helped get Cummings a pardon in 1979. Though many police officers fought the hiring of the ex-con, he joined the force at 24 years old, and eventually he won over even his staunchest critics.
What did it mean to you in 1993 to be named Policeman of the Year in the same police department which had once arrested you for your felony violation?
I was overwhelmed. Part of that whole experience was the result of my boxing experiences, growing up on the streets, knowing people, and that relationship made it much easier for them to see me as somebody they knew growing up with, and providing me information that they wouldn't even dream about giving to other cops.
By the early 1990s, Cummings had been promoted to detective, having earned his law degree from Indiana University in his off hours. When an influx of crack cocaine into his community fueled a violent crime explosion, Cummings felt prosecuting attorney William Lawler Jr. just wasn't dealing with the problem.
We just had a revolving door at the jail. I mean, the same guys I'm arresting for some robbery, you know, a month earlier now is killing somebody in a carjacking or a drive-by.
So the ex-convict runs for prosecuting attorney, and in a dramatic twist worthy of a Dickens novel, he runs against and defeats the same man who had put him behind bars back when he was 18 years old.
Of prosecuting attorney.
No one really thought it was possible that I could win that election.
Congratulations, sir.
His 1994 victory made Cummings prosecuting attorney of Madison County, overseeing all criminal cases in a community of 130,000 people. While his position calls for him to throw the book at violent felons, he puts just as much energy into steering and, if necessary, scaring youngsters like these juvenile offenders away from lives of crime.
You get an adult felony conviction, you have problems making it. You're probably going to be bouncing across the street at the prisons over there real soon. That's what your future is going to be like. Saying, would you like fries with that? That's going to be your future right there.
Do you think that essentially what you try to provide to the community here could be characterized as tough love?
Absolutely. Part of my responsibility is to make this community safe. You do that 2 ways. You lock up people who will not follow the law, and you try to change the hearts of people who haven't gotten that far along in the process. I spend as much time as I can trying to help young people improve their situation.
But all the time he spends with his fighters creates strain in his family.
They often tell me that I don't live in the house with them. I just change my clothes there. But I have a commitment to these kids, and sometimes it means that my family has to sacrifice too. My wife came to the gym to pick me up. David Bond was about a block away, came walking down, and while my wife was there, walked up to me and hugged me and said, "Thanks for everything you do for me, man." And we hugged, and he walked on, and I looked at my wife and I said, that's why I need to be here. And I think it was the first time she really understood.